5 weeks into this war, the single question that matters more than any other is not whether Iran's military has been degraded. It has. It is not whether American air power is dominant. It is. The question is this: can the United States actually reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Because right now, despite everything Washington has thrown at Iran, despite the carrier groups and the stealth bombers and the 50,000 troops deployed across the region, the 21-mile waterway that carries 20% of the world's oil remains effectively closed. And the gap between what the Pentagon says it is doing about that and what the Navy is actually capable of doing about it might be the most consequential disconnect of this entire conflict. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told reporters this week that the U.S. is taking steps to reopen the strait. He did not say what those steps are. He did not provide a timeline. He did not explain what specific operations are underway. That vagueness is not an oversight. It is a tell. Because the reality, confirmed by naval experts, defense analysts, and the Navy's own operational history, is that reopening a mined waterway under hostile conditions is one of the most difficult and dangerous operations in modern warfare, and the United States may not be ready to do it. Meanwhile, please leave your questions or comments in the comments section. I will answer each one individually as time permits. Also, I would be very happy if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel. Now, let's continue. Let me walk you through what a strait reopening operation would actually require, because the version of this story being sold to the public, the one where American forces sweep through and clear the path so tankers can start flowing again, leaves out almost everything that makes this problem so hard. The Strait of Hormuz is not just closed because Iran said so. It is closed because Iran has spent decades preparing for exactly this scenario, and the preparations go far beyond declarations and warnings. Iran's mine inventory is estimated at between 5,000 and 6,000 naval mines. That number is not hypothetical. It is drawn from intelligence assessments that have been tracking Iranian mine stockpiles for years. To put it in perspective, during the Iran-Iraq War in the late 1980s, Iran deployed a few dozen mines in the Gulf, and the results were devastating. The USS Samuel B. Roberts, a guided missile frigate, nearly sank after striking a single Iranian mine in 1988. 3 American warships have been damaged by sea mines in the Persian Gulf since that conflict. A few dozen mines caused that level of damage. Iran now has thousands. The last time the United States tried to keep the strait open under hostile conditions was Operation Earnest Will, the 14-month tanker escort campaign from 1987 to 1988. The U.S. reflagged Kuwaiti tankers under the American flag and provided continuous naval escorts. American forces destroyed Iranian oil platforms, sank warships, and demonstrated overwhelming military superiority. But the mine problem was never solved. Iran continued laying mines until the ceasefire. The military victories did not translate into a safe waterway. That lesson from 1988 applies directly to 2026. The Pentagon has already destroyed more than 30 Iranian mine-laying vessels and sunk 9 IRGC warships. Those are significant tactical achievements. But destroying the ships that lay mines does not remove the mines already sitting on the seafloor. And those mines are patient. They do not run out of ammunition. They do not need resupply. They sit and wait. So what would an actual mine-clearing operation look like? According to retired Admiral James Foggo, before minesweepers can even enter the strait, you need a sustained combat air patrol overhead to protect the clearing vessels from Iranian coastal defenses, drone attacks, and fast boat swarms. Then the minesweepers go in, working methodically through shipping lanes that are narrow, shallow in places, and bordered on both sides by Iranian-controlled territory. After the minesweepers clear a corridor, destroyers would escort the first tankers through. Foggo estimated that even if the operation began today, it would take a month to get underway. A month before the first tanker moves, not a month to finish the job. And here is the part that makes naval planners lose sleep. The U.S. Navy's primary mine-clearing platform is the littoral combat ship, specifically the Independence-class LCS equipped with mine countermeasures packages. These ships have been plagued by development problems for years. A Government Accountability Office report flagged significant challenges with the LCS, including the ship's ability to defend itself if attacked and failure rates of mission-essential equipment. Defense analysts have been blunt about the situation. One senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute said she was honestly completely baffled as to why the Navy did not have mine-clearing assets pre-positioned in the Gulf before this war started. As of the latest reporting, the LCS vessels equipped for mine operations were in Asia, not the Persian Gulf. The system the Navy is counting on to clear the strait remains unproven in actual combat conditions. The irony is that European navies are better equipped for this specific task than the United States. Poland has more than 24 mine-clearing ships. The UK, France, and Turkey all maintain significant mine warfare fleets. In both the Gulf War and the Iraq War, the U.S. relied on European NATO allies to provide mine-clearing capability. But this time, those allies have largely declined to help. Trump told them to learn to fight for themselves. He told them the hard part is done and to go get their own oil. The countries that have the mine-clearing ships are the same countries Washington alienated by launching this war without consulting them. The coalition that does not exist for the air campaign definitely does not exist for the mine-clearing mission. Now imagine what a joint special operations and marine assault on Iranian mine-laying infrastructure along the coast would actually involve. This is the scenario military planners are reportedly considering as an alternative to slow, methodical minesweeping. The concept is straightforward in theory. SEAL teams insert along the Hormuz coastline to neutralize Iranian mine storage facilities, coastal defenses, and launch points. Marines follow with amphibious vehicles and hovercraft to secure the wider perimeter. Air support from carrier-based F-35s provides overhead cover. Demolition teams destroy the infrastructure so mines can no longer be produced or deployed. The strait opens. In theory, that is a clean operation. In practice, it is a nightmare. The Hormuz coastline is Iranian territory. The terrain is rugged, mountainous in places, with natural concealment that favors defenders. Iran has spent 40 years fortifying these positions. The Revolutionary Guard has embedded coastal cruise missile launchers, anti-aircraft batteries, and observation posts throughout the area. The waters approaching the coast are shallow and reef-filled, making it nearly impossible for destroyers to provide close naval fire support. And Iran has demonstrated throughout this war that its most effective weapons are not the expensive ones. They are the cheap ones. Unguided rockets launched in saturation volleys from concealed concrete positions. Drone swarms. Fast attack boats swarming out of hidden harbors. $5,000 radio decoys that fool million-dollar missiles. Every engagement of this conflict has shown that Iranian forces fight asymmetrically, using low-cost weapons to exploit the blind spots in American high-tech systems. Even if a coastal assault succeeded in destroying the mining infrastructure, the mines already in the water would still be there. You would have eliminated the source, but not the existing threat. Tankers would still need to navigate channels that may contain thousands of devices designed to rip open their hulls. The operation would need to be followed by the same slow, dangerous, methodical minesweeping process that the Navy is not currently equipped to execute quickly. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright conceded the core problem 2 weeks into the war when he said the military simply was not ready and that all assets were focused on destroying Iran's offensive capabilities. That was an extraordinary admission from a cabinet-level official. It confirmed what naval planners had understood from the beginning. Winning the air war and winning the sea lanes are two entirely different operations. The Pentagon optimized for the first and did not adequately prepare for the second. The strait was Iran's trump card, and Iran played it on day one. Everything since has been the United States trying to figure out how to respond to a move it should have anticipated but apparently did not plan for. The UK's Defense Secretary acknowledged the scale of the challenge when he stated that mine clearance is near impossible during active conflict, and that de-escalation remains the most realistic path to reopening the strait. Read that again. A senior Western defense official is saying publicly that the military solution to the strait problem may not be viable and that diplomacy is the only realistic path. That is not defeatism. That is an honest assessment of what mine warfare looks like when the enemy has had decades to prepare and you have not positioned the right tools to respond. Meanwhile, the economic damage compounds every single day the strait stays closed. Oil is above $110 a barrel. Global fertilizer supply chains that depend on Gulf exports of urea and ammonia are fracturing. The U.S. defense industry itself is experiencing what officials describe as near-total disruption to critical mineral supply flowing through the strait, particularly sulfur. Aluminum prices are climbing because Gulf states account for 20% of raw aluminum exports. The cascading effects reach into agriculture, manufacturing, energy, and food production simultaneously. Every week without resolution deepens the crisis in ways that become harder to reverse even after the strait eventually reopens. Trump told European allies the hard part is done and to go get their own oil. But the hard part is not done. The hard part, the part where you actually clear a shipping lane through thousands of mines under active threat from coastal defenses in a waterway bordered by hostile territory using mine-clearing systems that have never been tested in combat. That part has not even started. The air campaign was the part the Pentagon knew how to do. The strait is the part it does not have a proven answer for. And the distance between those two realities is where the outcome of this entire war is going to be decided. Not in the skies over Tehran. Not in the rubble of bombed bridges and power plants. In 21 miles of shallow, mine-filled water that the most powerful navy in history has not yet figured out how to make safe.